Greetings, beloveds. Eric Mother.com with the weekend market analysis for September 2nd and 3rd and 4th, which is a long holiday weekend, 2023. Let's take a look at how we ended the week here. We can see a little bit of a mixed day. We can say net, the market was positive slightly, or let's say unchanged for the week. I'll show you the numbers, and we can see for now where the cryptos are trading. You can see BTC trading at about 25,800, Ethereum trading at 1628. Let's take a look at those charts. Now, a good thing is over the last couple of weeks, we haven't necessarily gone bearish. In fact, I was putting the case forward for this holding. This is a Dow daily. I had suggested this could hold or might be an area to watch. Of course, it could have broken, but it chose not to. And also coming off the lows, we can even take these lows here. There's a line that I was drawing from there, a little bit higher, I believe. And this is a Dow daily. So those two lines were potentially going to be an area for support, and the market chose to find support here, and now we are higher. Now I'll show you why we might be stalling and where the market is finding a little bit of a challenge. It's a simple line connecting the previous break point. So you can see that this line broke down here, which brings us down here, and now becoming a little bit of a back test failure. So if we're going to go higher in the coming days and weeks, we need to clear the daily above the blue line so we can advance beyond the current levels. Now that's the weekly for the Dow. If we take a look at the S&P 500, we see that the weekly also was suggesting, and I'm just going to summarize this with the S&P 500 weekly, but the other markets are pretty much the same. S&P 500 weekly, there's this simple line here which I was proposing that would be support or potentially an area of support, and the market has held. So now, as long as we are above the blue line, even with a pullback, the market should be fine. In other words, if we end up pulling back here and we come back and test the line, so a pullback here should look like that, comes back and test the line. If we hold, then that would suggest that we are still within a market that wants to go higher if we hold. So above the blue line, I would say the market continues to be stable to outright bullish. And of course, we have to understand, since the line is well defined, it should be meaningful for us to understand and appreciate that should we come back here and fail, that's going to be a message to anticipate even lower prices. Now, the big picture, in my opinion, is the monthly charts, as I've been saying. And since we've begun a new month, now we have to pay even more attention. Now, this is the NASDAQ monthly. Remember, I've been talking about this line here, which was a problem in the month of August. And we can, I forgot to give you the summary for the week, but I'll do that in a second. But we can see here, this is where the NASDAQ stalled coming into the end of July. August was a down month. But this is an area that the market, if it's going to go higher, definitely must move above this line here. And we need a monthly breakout above the closing high from July for this to be true. But let's take a look at the numbers for the week and for the month of August. So we can see here for the week, these are the numbers. Generally a nice week for the markets. Cryptos, we can say, are slightly down for the week. But really what I want to take a look at here is the monthlies. You can see for the month of August, cryptos were down about 11%, Ethereum and BTC, that is. But US markets, surprisingly, were not down as much. You can see here that the biggest mover was the Dow, down about only 2.3%. That's 1 day of action, really. So really, it looked like a very nasty down month, but we were only down 2%. That's nothing. Could actually be a sign of that the market is still stable to bullish. S&P 500, let's take a look at the monthly here. And again, the same situation as the Dow, a little bit of a different look. This is where we break down in early 2022. We came back and target in 23 here in the month of July. We target and we were down for August. So now what is needed is the market would need, if it wants to go higher, let's zoom in a little bit. If it wants to go higher, the market would have to clear this area here, this RSI area again. So we just zoomed in, looks like that. And this area happens to be around RSI 61.8. So it's a meaningful area for some action. So what is needed here is a breakout above July's monthly closing high. So if we can break out above this level, that's going to suggest we take out this line to the upside, and we might be setting the stage for the market going back to test the all-time monthly highs, potentially even improve on those highs if the breakout is to take place in terms of price above the monthly closing high from July, and also moving above this line, which has been a problem. Now, if we can't break out And if the RSI continues to drift away from the resistance line, then that means that there's still some more downside action that the market needs to contend with. Now that's the monthly for the S&P 500. Semiconductor index, the ETF, SMH, you can see that this is the line where we saw resistance coming into the month of August and we were rejected. Now there's a possibility, we don't know that's going to play out, but it's a possibility that we eventually take out the July monthly closing high. That is at 160. So I got the 160.62. So if the SMH can break out above 160.62, then that's a fresh monthly breakout, pushing it to fresh all-time monthly closing high possibility, maybe even fresh all-time highs. That would also mean that the RSI clears this range and we might be moving above RSI 69.1 as the next level. Remember, the last time we were above 69.1, we had a big run in the market. So those are some of the possibilities from a positive perspective. Now, the alternative view here is this breakout never takes place on the monthly and the RSI continues showing rejection here and we roll over. My thinking right now with the data we have is I think we are inching more and more to the possibility of a monthly breakout, but we shall see. This is the Vanguard Total World Stock ETF, tracks the global markets as a whole. Over the last 3 weeks, when it looks like here we were for sure going down, I was talking about this line here that could offer support, and you can see the market being aware of that line has held. So as long as we're above the blue line, again, global markets are now turning to a bounce so that we can say they are sideways to higher with that point of view. The VT ETF also showing the possibility of a potential breakout. Again, all of these markets, the Dow, the NASDAQ, S&P, they could all have the opportunity to break out above the monthly closing highs from July. And if they do, then that's a market that is going to be setting the stage to attack the late 2021, early 2022 all-time highs. So same thing here with the VT. I'm just repeating myself. I'm just showing all these charts are saying the same thing. This is where we stalled and now we are coming back to test this level. If we can break out above this level, if the price can break out above July's monthly closing high, then we are off to the races again. Just want to point out here that emerging markets by way of the EEM had a big down month in the month of August as it moved its RSI below 50. Now we ask the question, is it going to be able to move above 50 for a big up month? Right now the RSI is just under 48. So we'll see. If it can reclaim the level above 50, expect a big up month for emerging markets. Bank Nifty, couple things to observe here is number one, we have this breakout from earlier, couple months ago. The breakout is still intact because we see that we broke out and we've come back to test this last month and we held. So that in itself is a good thing. And also if you take a look at the RSI for the Bank Nifty, you can see that this line here on the monthly could be where it is holding. If it holds, that tells me that there's a good likelihood we're going to go to record fresh all-time highs. And if it can't hold, then we can anticipate that the market's going to be down from current levels. That's the monthly for the Bank Nifty. Taking a look at the Canadian market quickly here, just like the Nifty, we can see again we have this line connecting RSI lows going all the way back to 2020. And as long as we are holding and hugging and using the line as support, then over time this is building energy for movement to the upside. And of course, since the line is well defined, if we break this line, then that's going to invite some aggressive selling. Right now it is on support status, so we anticipate a market that is sideways to higher as far as the Canadian market is concerned also. GLD, and I want to mention something here is I suspect that if there's going to be a big move in gold, it's probably going to have to wait until next year. The reason why I say that is we need it to be moving to 3-year high. So let's say 1 year, 2021 to 2022, 2. So by the end of this year, it's going to be 3 years. Early next year, we might have an opportunity for this to move to 3-year highs. Hope that makes sense. So right now, I think even with a breakout in gold, if it does break out, let's say, the minimum requirements are not there for a powerful move to the upside. So even with a price breakout, you can see the RSI would have to get above 69.1. The other issue we have is the MACDs would need to go to 3-year highs. So MACDs right now are not close to 3-year highs, but next year, that opportunity is going to be there. That's why I think if gold is going to run See, right now we don't have the minimum requirements met if it breaks out, but I think by late this year, early next, the opportunity to break out for GLD is going to be there for a sustained move higher. Right now, I would say this market continues, in my opinion, to be sideways to lower. By the way, on the daily for GLD, we are still trading around the moving averages, the 50 and the 200 day. We have this topside line. This topside line also is based on the uniformity concept. You can see the lines are intersecting where it stalled over the last couple of days. So if it's going to move higher in the short term day to day, it would need to clear and move above these two lines. But like I said, the monthly as of right now doesn't have the look for a powerful move to the upside. Let's take a look at crude oil, which had a nice week. And we can see crude oil here breaking out above the recent weekly closing high here from late July, early August. And so that's a good breakout. As long as it can sustain that, that's good. In that level, let me give you the price level to watch for crude oil. It is 83.19. So as long as it is above 83.19, give it the benefit of the doubt. And remember, last week I was talking about the moving averages. Here we have a bearish crossover between the moving averages. We went down, and over the last couple of months, we've been building up this energy for crossover, which generally means prices being stable to higher. I would watch this number. Above this number, crude oil should be sideways to higher. Now, that is crude oil. If I take a look at the XLE, I don't get the strength that I would want to see, unfortunately. So we are seeing a breakout in price above here for 2023, closing at a fresh 2023 weekly closing high. In fact, all the way back. Yeah, so it's closing multi-year highs in terms of weekly closing for XLE. My issue with this instrument is the MACDs and the RSI. So you can see the RSI would need to move above 69.1. And the other issue I have with this is, as I've been stating recently, we don't have the MACDs moving to 3-year highs. So for this to be a powerful moving breakout, you'd want to see the MACDs moving to 3-year highs. So until that happens, this breakout, in my opinion, that is showing on the weekly, is, in my opinion, not as strong as it might seem on the surface. So yes, it has momentum with a price breakout, but what we need here is the RSI to reclaim the level above 69.1. Otherwise, this is a breakout, in my opinion and my estimation, that has the possibility that over time it stalls because it doesn't have the minimum requirements for the ultimate Moade breakout as of right now. Which brings me to the cryptos, and I'm going to talk about the ETF or the trust, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, GBTC. The reason why I'm holding this as one of the charts to discuss here is, remember, there's a line that I was proposing for BTC, and I'll show that in a little bit. So this line here, in my opinion, similar to what we've seen in other charts, is holding. I think that's a positive as long as it holds. But the key here is, what I want to discuss is the where it closed at the end of the month. So you can see the last 2 months, we've been trading sideways there. So this instrument, if it can break out above this monthly closing high from June, now that breakout would have to clear 19.19, which is the close for 2023 on a monthly basis. So a breakout above this level could suggest that cryptos are going to start moving to the upside. It also closed just a tad below 50. So in the new month, this month of September, if it wants to, if it can reclaim the level above the 50 on the monthly, then that suggests to me that cryptos are going to have a good up month. The reason why I say that is, if we take a look at BTC, let's take a look at Ethereum first. Take a look at Ethereum. From a monthly perspective, we can see what happened when it moved below 50 last month. It was down 11% for the month because the RSI dropped below 50. What I'm saying here is, be on the lookout as a possibility that if it can reclaim RSI 50, whenever it does, the month it does reclaim 50, expect a recovery and a strong up month whenever Ethereum can clear and move above RSI 50. Now we can see here, as far as the monthlies are concerned, this is the weekly. You can see where we start moving in 2023. It's this RSI level, and I believe this RSI level is being tested as of right now. And we can also see something similar here if we take a look at BTC on it's the weekly for BTC. And again, similar to GBTC, the ETF or the trust, we can see that this is a line it needs to hold on a week-to-week basis. If it can hold, then that means there's going to be some energy to start moving higher. If that line can hold, if this line breaks, not good for those who are bullish because that would mean lower prices. That's Bitcoin on a weekly time frame. Take a look at the daily. We can see the daily, it had a big up day here. I believe that was on Tuesday. So today is a Friday, but you can see a big up day here. It has since gone to lose all of them. All of the gains from that day lost. But let's go back to the chart here. You can see what happened here is when we ran up early in the week, we ran into the top side line here and we were rejected. Also turned out to be RSI 50 rejection with uniform activity. Whenever you see rejection with uniform activity, it means you're going to test the lows, which is exactly what is happening. Remember, I told you last week that there's a problem with this chart, that even if Bitcoin moves, it's not going to be the low. And I was talking about the fact that it spent all this time below RSI 30.9 was not a good setup for a quick recovery. So now I can say, because it's already cleared RSI 30.9, now with this attempt to go lower, the RSI could be forming what I discussed, positive divergence, setting the stage for a more meaningful recovery right here. So again, it's an important lesson here. Just like this period here is not the top, this is not the top. The top comes here, and the top comes with divergence. So it's short-term divergence right here. So that's when we get this pullback right here. And so what I was saying last weekend is was in my opinion not the low, because you'd need to form divergence before you can have a strong recovery. So we're getting the pullback here. I think the next push in the cryptos could be good enough to stage a nice recovery. Keep in mind, if we're going to move higher day to day, we would have to clear the top side line, which was a problem this past week. This is a must. Otherwise, you don't move higher until you clear this line right here. On the monthly, BTC also had a big down month. And the reason, of course, by now you understand why, because it moved its monthly RSI below 50. And as it moved its monthly RSI below 50, we had a big down month. Now the possibility is that it could have a big up month by reclaiming the level above RSI 50. Keep in mind, I've been talking about the monthly resistance line. So let me draw it. So there's this line here to consider also. This is where we stall in 2023. We've tagged this a couple times and successfully turned into resistance here and here, which were the resistances here on a monthly closing basis. So if you're going to go higher, we would need to clear and move above the resistance line. It would be similar to BTC moving above the recent 2023 monthly closing high, as I've been talking about. The level BTC would have to clear if it's going to go higher is, depending on your exchange, it's at about 30,300. If it can clear that level, if we can clear above this monthly resistance line on the RSI, then we might be off to the races. Do enjoy your long holiday weekend. These are the closing numbers. Blessings.